now let's just go over how to do the one arm dumbbell row. So first things first, we only need one dumbbell because you're only rowing with one arm. From here, what you're gonna do is pick a base of support to put on the bench. So it could be your arm. This is gonna be harder to stabilize over the course of the entire exercise, or it could be your forearm. Now, this also has like a comfort level to it. So if you feel like you can get good stability with your forearm on the bench and like grabbing the bench, great. If that bothers your wrists or elbows or anything from that position, just go into this straight arm position here. Now, I personally like to set up with my forearm on the bench first and then get my legs in the right spot. Now, if I were to row from right here, I'm a little too close to the bench and I'd be rubbing right up my thigh. So what I want to do is actually scoop myself back a bit so that I'm a little bit more horizontal to the floor. And then I'm going to pick which leg I want forward, depending on which challenge I want to create in the exercise. Now, but from here, I get that foot back enough so that it's more directly under my pelvis, more or less, so that I have room to row back towards my hip as we're completing this exercise. So a few things that you want to watch out for from here. The first thing is a lot of people like to row straight up, and this reduces the amount of tension on my actual lat, being that that's the target of the one arm dumbbell row. So what you want to actually do instead is aim a little bit more for that hip, or just creating kind of a 90-degree angle with your arm relative to the ground, right? So I'm rowing here versus just straight up and down, okay? Now, the next thing is choosing which foot is forward. If I want to create the most challenge for my lat to actually like grow the lat, I want to have the leg that's on the same side as that rowing arm be directly under my pelvis. Now, the reason for that is it creates a stable surface for the pelvis and there's no rotational demand here. So it keeps that point fixed because the lat's attached to our thoracolumbar fascia on that side and then up into the upper arm here. So as I'm rowing, it stays still. Now, if I choose to have the other arm over, because I'm looking for a bit more function or athletic transfer and basically want to see things more greatly impacted in my day-to-day life, I'm going to pick this contralateral stance because this leg isn't directly under the pelvis here, there's going to be rotational demand and my body's going to want to break through this plane. So our job is to stay here and keep ourselves nice and level. So we're going to check the shoulders, making sure that they're level. We're going to check the hips to make sure that they're also level. Our shoulders and our hips should be set to that same angle. And now a lot of people, they'll get here and they'll kind of arch their back. We don't want that either because that's pre-shortening our lat. So we want to keep this nice and neutral from our pelvis to the bottom of our rib cage. We want to see that whole section, create a nice tight cylinder. And then as we're rowing, a lot of people overreach. They drop that shoulder down and overreach, thinking that they're getting a bigger stretch on their lat. And what we want to do is keep that level and then row from there, basically trying to resist that rotation. And then you're going to get a lot more out of your obliques and your trunk versus just kind of spiraling through your shoulders, right? The next thing that we want to actually check on here is making sure that we're keeping our shoulders in a good spot. So as we row, we don't want our shoulders to shrug up on that row. That's often associated with that shorter moment arm, but we just want to make sure that as we go to row the dumbbell, that we push our shoulders kind of down our back without arching our back, okay? So just as if we're trying to squeeze an orange in our armpit, we're just trying to push this point down. A lot of people, when they go for this, they like try to squeeze their entire back like that because they feel compression back here, which is the right thing to kind of try to feel for, but we're looking for it more directly like lateral, your back or your spine and into your armpit versus that entire back getting squeezed up. So from this neutral position, not shrugging up, actively kind of pushing down here and then rowing from there, okay? So we go to row, a lot of people end up here. We want to push that shoulder down and then row so we can keep that tension on the lats versus getting up into our traps in our upper back. Those are the main kind of fault points during the one-arm dumbbell row. That is how to properly execute the one-arm dumbbell row based on whatever you're looking to get out of it, be it athletic transfer, or just huge lats, okay? Hope that helped. Let me know if you have any questions. Drop them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.